What is up, you muffin munching muggles? Welcome to Fiction and Reality, where we help you, yes, you become the most devilishly gifted human that you know you are and that you knew you always could be. Now you can see me in HD, stepping up the quality. Even Stevie could see that fiction and reality can't be beat with the consistency. We're going to be talking about powers again, and not because I'm lazy. No, not that. We're going to be talking about what elements are just right for your character's personality. Part 1 in a series undertaking the beast that is power systems. Hey, let's talk about fire.
Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow.
Now, there's seemingly infinite personalities that we've seen fire being associated with, but we'll simply focus on the generalized scope of flames and delve deeper in a later video. The connection comes from the fire's literal heat and brilliance, right? In ancient mythologies like Greece or in Rome, fire was associated with gods who symbolized creative fervor or passion, and we've seen it expressed a great deal amongst popular series such as God of War, where our favorite chaos chain-wielding Baldy tramples over hellfire and brimstone, charged with a deep-rooted desire to be the father his son wants and the man his wife wanted him to be, to save Atreus, and perhaps deal a unhealthy amount of DPS to those who seek to hurt his son by binding him to a chain of unrelenting assault. If your character's so gun-ho about protecting those close to them, prideful as a lion and as fearless as a grizzly, consider assigning them this element. Know that this is not an end-all be-all kind of situation, and that while I'm creating a roadmap linking personality to specific elements, that this is simply just that, a roadmap to provide you with some semblance of a framework to operate based off of when thinking about what type of power you want to give your character. Ultimately, your creativity will supersede anything that comes out of my mouth, and it's not like you guys listen to me anyway. These characters like Sanji, for example, often present with an outright willingness to sacrifice their own vitality for the welfare of their loved ones, or simply to just protect their own ideals, but they do so with an exemplary display of valor and bravery. And don't forget the emotional veil that your character casts upon the world by becoming too enveloped in the physical. But don't get too affixed with the emotion either. They may be sacrificial in the sense of their willingness to relinquish their own hopes and dreams, and stubborn to concede to an sort of arbitration that leaves those they want to protect or the ideologies and values they want to preserve at jeopardy of being corroded to dust. Whichever way you stir the embers, you'll find that passion and intensity is undoubtedly a flaming ace in the hole that you could slip up your sleeves in case you find yourselves floundering and failing to decide what element best encapsulates that searing desire, impulsiveness and destructiveness. There is another level of heat that cranks up that flame a little bit too much. Until the point where they become caustic and devouring, the pinnacle of destruction and decay. One of the earliest portrayals was the cautionary tale of Icarus, a man who tried to fly a little bit too close to the sun, providing insight to the dual nature of fire. It provides warmth and light, but can also destroy. Fiery ambition leading to downfall reinforces this duality. Man, I would have absolutely hated living in those ancient times. Never mind you having to just shit on the side of the road, or mind the boxes of worms crawling within you and wipe your butt with shards of pottery. Think about getting gaslit, right, by an entire cult of flat earthers that are trying to make you think that the earth is the center of the universe. Back to the video. Is your character unable to control their emotions, veered by a bristling passion that they can no longer control? Well, fire, just as softly as it can flow into the valorous winds of honor, can also become engorged with wrath, hatred, and an erosive impulse to destroy, till the safety of all the ideals and values that said character stands for is ensured through any means necessary, no matter the sacrifice, even if it means scorching the ones they care about in the process. And what about the internal struggle? What better way to prompt engagement than to turn a hot-headed psychopath?
You ever forget what you are? You're a weakling!
into something of a kosher yet passionate and level-headed person who, instead of scorching everything in their path to maintain their semblance of stability, throws themselves into hellfire to catch fury for those who are aiming to hurt the ones they care about. Water, water, water. Water tends to symbolize cleansing, healing, and renewal, reflecting its vital role in sustaining life and washing away impurities. Ancient rituals across cultures, such as baptism in Christianity and purification rites in Hinduism, use water to signify spiritual cleansing and rebirth. The regenerative cycles of rain and rivers also inspires metaphors for renewal and growth in literature and folklore. In Avatar: The Last Airbender, we see Katara demonstrate her healing abilities quite frequently, serving as somewhat as a fountain of vitality, sprouting in a world plagued by flames. These characters tend to exude a significant degree of selflessness and more often than not are more worried about the welfare of others rather than themselves, and thus may suffer from a failure to maintenance their own psyche. Hey, why were you holding out on those healing powers, Katara? Water is fluid and able to change its form to fit any container, symbolizing an adaptable and resourceful personality.
Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot.
I think it's also important to keep in mind the fact that the rest of the elements can present in different forms as well, just like water may present as ice, steam, or liquid. The consistency of a specific element may prove more pertinent to a character's personality according to the route of creativity you choose to take. Will adaptability spindle into a whirlpool of stoicism and intuition? Or maybe loom atop the blood mist of a bloodthirsty demon or some animal or beast that's seeking to suffocate you to death? Here's a big takeaway.
Fish are friends, not food.
Except stinking dolphins.
Dolphins? Yeah, they think they're so cute.
I was joking, obviously. The tides of water can be as dynamic or flat as you choose them to be, and the gravity of how or what form you choose to take cannot be overstated enough when affixing these attributes to your own characters. If your character is hard stuck on being a self-righteous, self-sacrificial lamb willing to come to the aid of a comrade no matter the cost, stoic and methodical in their planning, or adept at adapting to anything, consider assigning them this element.
The water, my friend.
Hey, you want to talk about wind? Wind is unrestrained, moving wherever it desires, representing a free spirit and independence. Across cultures, wind has been associated with soul's liberation or transcendence. In ancient Greek mythology, the god Alius controlled the winds, embodying their independent and untamed nature. Yip yip, suckers.
Avatar state! Yip
Aang's reluctance to take on the responsibility of being the Avatar stems from his desire to live life on his own terms, as well as fear. His frequent use of the glider and flying bison underscores his love for exploration and independence. It embodies the wind's unrestrained nature, moving where his spirit calls him. The greatest link to the wind nature, personality-wise, is independence, solitude, and freedom. All right, we're going to rewind the clock a bit here. Who remembers Shun from Bakugan? Shun's lifestyle and behavior often reflect a sense of wandering or exploring without being tied down to one place or obligation. Although he does fight alongside his team, he often leaves and goes off on his own. This symbolizes a kind of internal freedom where he's not confined by the need to always be around others or follow a set routine, much like the wind that changes direction or speed unpredictably. Shun follows his own path and is comfortable doing so, embodying a spirit of adventure and liberty. Characters associated with wind-based natures typically are just going with the wind. Get it? Going with the wind there. Whenever you're thinking about giving your character the old nomadic adventurer vibe, then don't be afraid to look towards some wind-based ability, particularly one that incorporates the most vital components of their persona. And that'll usually consist of a preference to reject the status quo, to isolate themselves from the rest of the world, and a propensity to despise others who attempt to stricture their nomadic state, as well as attempt to force them into a system of coded postulates and policies. Word to the wise, Shun. Don't ever restrict your creative freedom.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
All right, cut the music. I've got an important tip to talk about before we get into talking about rocks. Now, let's talk about polarization. As you see, each of these elements run in sort of congruity with said trait or personality. Now, if you want to do something interesting, consider introducing a little bit of irony when introducing what ability to give your characters. What if someone, say, with the fire-based ability, which tends to plume with bravery, courage, and wrath and passion, ends up being a coward? Or what if someone with a water nature, which often represents healing, life, renewal, ends up being some type of homicidal serial killer? These polarizations may help offset the risk if you feel that the manifestations of your abilities are becoming somewhat cliche to you. Never say no to a chance to add some fluidity and dynamic shifts into your story or world building. Since that adaptability and even more importantly, creativity is what is responsible for setting your powers apart from the rest. In Greek mythology, Gaia, the Earth Mother, represents a stable and nurturing force that underpins the existence of gods and mortals. People with earth-natured abilities typically tend to be characters who embody groundedness, reliability, and practicality. We definitely see this with Gara as he's trading blows with the village hidden in the hands, as well as when he's encasing himself in sand armor, displaying his craving for protection, groundedness, and stability. We often associate abilities with a vast sense of endurance, powers that symbolize the capacity to protect and endure through even the harshest of conditions. These characters tend to act as a pillar of stability for those that rely on them and take the helm of the supportive role, even though it may mean them having to take more kicks to preserve their safety, somewhat like a passionate, bristling fire type. And what better of a shell for Reiner, the man who coats himself in Titan armor, as if it's a mask, enduring the searing pain of having to betray the scouts who he truly came to know as innocent citizens of Paradise rather than devils, and to drag New Marleyan warriors into war that he could not resolve of his own accord. A character with earth-based traits reflects practicality and groundedness, ensuring that they can navigate any situation with a sense of calm control, making them a solid pillar in the narrative and a reliable source of strength for others around them. All in all, choosing earth-based traits for your character can create a stable and dependable figure who offers a sense of security in the narrative. Also, know that rocks are prone to crumbling. Maybe play on the prefecture of seemingly rock-steady characters like Reiner, who progressively lose their shell of mental stability in the lore of your world and funnel deeper into your story. Speaking of crumbling and cracking rocks, if you took something from this video, I want you to take a moment to crack that subscribe button and like the video. Like the video. It pushes these videos out so that others can take the key tokens that you've gained. So do your fellow comrades a favor. I think I'm going to make this a part series, picking apart niche but important aspects that contribute to building a framework of your story, especially your power system. Let me know what specific power categories you want to hear about below, and also which power attributes are your favorite. I'll also be releasing some more writing tips videos as well. I'm also still working on a stream. As you see, I've got a better camera, right? And that's part of it. So keep an eye out for that community tab. You do it. I will leave a link to my socials in the description below. And with that, remember, if ever you're lost in the forestry of words, strip your mind from fantasy and look to the window of the world, and there your mind will run free.